Hello, hello. Welcome to Plum Fusion Month 2, where we're going to do blocks 3 and 4. This is the tutorial for block 3. Thank you for joining us. I am Maile Bloxam from Vicky's Fabrics, and whoever is out there watching, thank you, thank you. Hopefully you saw our videos for 1 and 2 for January, and you enjoyed the process and it helped you through, and so we're going on to the next. Now, the first thing we're going to do is some 4 at a time flying geese, and we have also just posted a tutorial for that because they didn't show up until now. Okay, so I am going to walk you through the whole process though with the fabrics in this block. Okay, so you're going to be making flying geese, 2 different colorways. Okay, you're going to be making flying geese with fabric number 10 and fabric number 1, and flying geese with fabric number 2 and fabric number 10. So you're going to have light geese and dark geese. Okay, so the way we start this, so I'm going to go through the whole process again, where we take our square, we line up our smaller squares on the large square, we mark the diagonal, we sew a 1/4 inch on either side, and then we cut them apart. I'm going to cut these apart to make our halves. We iron these down. I'm just going to finger press here so you can see what's going on. We're going to put our square here, mark the center line, sew a 1/4 inch on each side, and when we cut that apart, we are going to end up with our geese. Okay, and I've lost my geese. What's going to happen is you're going to end up with 2 different geese. Again, fabric 10 and 1 and fabric 2 and 10. And what you're going to do is sew them one on top of the other to get 4 of these flying geese units. Okay? Yay! 2.5 by 4.5 goose on the bottom and the top, and you get a 4.5 inch by 4.5 inch square. Okay, that's step 1, geeses. Step number 2, we actually pretty much did these in the first month. You're going to take fabric 2 and fabric number 6, line them up on top of each other and make some half square triangles. Mark the center, sew 1/4 inch on either side. When we cut these apart, oops, we're going to cut. We're going to trim. I line up that diagonal and the pico. Remember the center on that white line. Everybody's going to learn the word pico. Very exciting. That is your Hawaiian word of the year, pico. What does that mean? Belly button. Okay, center, really. Half square triangles. You are going to be then putting your half square triangles together with some 2.5 inch squares to make the flower block like we did last month. Okay, so we're going to cut this open. Ta-da. So your green are going to be towards the middle. Now I always set these blocks up before I sew them, because otherwise they might get wonky. So 2.5 inch squares. You're going to have your fabric number 8 and your fabric number 1, and then 2 of the half square triangles with fabric number 6 and number 2, and you end up with these flowers. You'll be needing 4 of those for the corners of your quilt or block. Okay. The last section is our square in a square. You're going to start with a 3 3 3/8 inch square. 3 3/8. Now, you're going to have some fabric 2 that you've cut into triangles. Okay. When you sew this together, because this is a 3 3/8, you want to use an accurate 1/4 inch seam, not a scant 1/4 inch seam. You want an accurate 1/4 inch. You're going to sew these to either side, and the way I do that is I fold this to mark my center. I fold this to mark the center, and I will drop this right onto that fold and open it up. And that's how I know that the triangles are centered properly on the square. Leave it folded, drop it on there, lining up that side to that center point that I folded. So those are centered. Okay. When I press these open, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold this in half, matching the seams. Mark my center. I just finger press that. You can use a pen if you want, but and I'm going to again fold my triangle, drop this onto the center, and open it up. So the reason I drop it into the center is I can sit here and try and match this, but by leaving this folded, finding my center and opening it up, that is always lined up. You're going to sew, again, proper 1/4 inch, not scant. And when you press these open, you have a square in a square with a lot of allowance. Now, you're going to want to square this to 4.5 by 4.5. What I like about this ruler, if you have this one, or if you have any, gridded ruler, I love this because it has a 1/4 inch seam allowance there. And when I drop this on here for my first cut, I know that I want a 1/4 inch to that point and a 1/4 inch to that point before I make my first cut. And again, knowing that this is oversized, when I flip this around, I am going to put the cut edge into the 4.5 by 4.5, and I should have, with a good seam allowance, a 1/4 inch on either side here. Or you can use your trim tool. And what I love about this, which you can't see on the other one because there are a lot of lines, I can see that these points here, the dashed line should be right into the corners of my square. And from here to here, I can see my 1/4 inch seam allowance for my cut. Okay. Turn that around. Again, looking at my dash lines, and now looking at my 1/4 inch, 4 1/4. I look those points, not always exact, but that's okay. We're good. So that's my center of my block. Modified 9 patch time. Okay. Ta-da! Points in. And where are my flowers? Underneath all my rulers. Okay. And my flowers with the flower points in and the light on the outside. So we're gonna sew 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then the block together. Block number 3.